FoodTubers, my name's Nicole and I'm here to teach you how to make hot cross buns, everyone's favorite, they're the best. These fabulous fruit buns are topped with the traditional dough cross and doused in a sticky orange glaze. These hot cross buns are filled with currants and warm spices, and it also happens that they're gluten-free. This recipe makes 8 buns, and before we do anything, we need to throw on a kettle of water to boil, a pretty big kettle of water, and we'll be using it throughout the whole process. So our very first step is to get our yeast started. We've got 2 teaspoons of yeast, about 7 grams of yeast, a bit of sugar, teaspoon of sugar, and half a cup, 120 grams of warm water. Next step, plump up our currants. Now that our water is boiled, I'm going to take a bowl, fill it up with the boiling water, and stick it in my oven with the oven light on. And that will make my oven a perfect environment, nice and warm and moist, for these buns to rise perfectly. Now we're going to get started on the dough. Because it's gluten-free, we need to use some thickeners to help mimic the gluten. And the best way to do that is use something called psyllium husk. This is a great source of fiber and it thickens like a miracle. We also are going to use something called xanthan gum, and a lot of people are like, well, what the heck is xanthan gum? It's again a thickener and it's really helpful in gluten-free baking. It helps to mimic the gluten. I'll also be throwing in 3 eggs. Now psyllium husk and xanthan gum are not difficult to find. You'll be able to get them at your local health food store or you can order them online. And then to this mixture we need a cup or 250 milliliters of hot water. Now after giving this a good stir, you're going to set it aside and allow it to thicken, and this mixture will help to mimic the gluten in the dough. It gets so thick and beautiful and it really does the trick. Now it's time to get our dry ingredients together. It's a simple recipe. We start with a cup or 130 grams of tapioca starch. Next is 300 grams or 2 cups of brown rice flour, 1.5 teaspoons salt, 1/3 of a cup or 75 grams of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and 1.5 teaspoons cinnamon. The only kind of unique addition to this recipe is that I will be adding a little bit of baking powder and a dash of baking soda to help the buns pop in the oven. So now we need to mix up our dough. There is no kneading needed in this dough because there's no gluten. We don't need to work the dough to get the gluten elastic. Instead, we're using our dough thickeners, and you can come and check this out. This has become very, very thick, and this is going to replace our gluten. So I'll mix everything together and I'll be throwing in the zest of 1 orange. This is what the dough should look like after stirring for a couple minutes. And now I'll fold in my currants. Now we tip our dough onto a nicely floured surface. And there's no kneading with this. That's what's so nice and what makes this recipe so simple. You just mix it up. It does need a little bit of muscle for a couple minutes. And now the dough is sticky, so you want to have floured covered hands and just get it so it's not so sticky. And I'll cut this into 8 pieces and then we'll roll them out into nice little balls and place them on a parchment covered baking pan. Now we need to let these rise in a nice warm oven until they're almost doubled in size. For the orange glaze, we will use the juice of our zested orange and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Bring it to a boil and allow it to simmer for a couple minutes, and then turn the heat off and just let it cool down and it'll thicken up. Now to make the dough crosses, we will need 40 grams or 4 tablespoons of brown rice flour, 1 tablespoon tapioca starch, 1 tablespoon sugar, and then 2 tablespoons plus a little bit extra, about an extra teaspoon of water. So I just mixed up our dough to make the dough crosses. Traditionally, you make a nice dough that you can roll out and lay it on top of the buns, but without the gluten, that's really difficult. So instead, I made up a dough and I'm gonna throw it into a piping bag and then pipe them out onto my buns once they've risen. They're done. Well, at least they're risen. Now what I need to do is put my dough crosses on and give it a nice egg wash. The buns bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius for 25 minutes or until they are golden. They're done. Look at how pretty they are. Hot cross buns. Now they need an orange glaze. Let's give these a try. Oh, those are good. Soft and warm spices, and the currants are perfect, and that orange zest or the orange glaze is lovely. I would love to hear how you make hot cross buns, so throw your comments below and I will definitely get back to you. If you would like to see more easy gluten-free recipes, you can head over to my channel. The link's below. And hey, this is Jamie Oliver's FoodTube channel. You need to subscribe because it's free and it's awesome. So thanks for watching, guys. See ya.